All right. So we're going to be reacting to a video by REO MK, which I believe is a friend of Tom Brady's. And it's titled 5 Most Important Features MK Legacy Collection Must Include. Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, MK Rio here. It's been a long time since my last upload and since I've talked to you guys, but with the recent amazing announcement of the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, I'm happy to say that I'm looking forward to playing this so much and coming back, and I will be getting a new computer near the end of the year because currently I don't have one, so I haven't really been able to play anything, and I've been completely out of the loop with fighting games and following them as much. But let's talk about this awesome announcement from NetherRealm. They're releasing a Legacy Collection which is going to include so many of the classic games ranging from the 2D MKs, and I hope the 3D MKs are also included because I would love to see people be able to play those games again.
They're not... Listen, I know there's a lot of hopium going around right now. As someone that pretty much accurately predicted, that this thing, if they ever made it, will happen in the way that it has, actually coming true. The reason for that is simple, right? Mortal Kombat is seen in 3 distinct, eras. 2D, 3D, and then the NRS era, basically, right? With the obscurity of, say, MK vs. DC, and of course MK9, which MK9 really does stand apart. Even though it was the first published game under NetherRealm, and developed under the name, it really was a midway game developed title. Now, I know people want the 3D era in there because some people are going, oh, but the handheld ones are in there. The handheld ones, they're old, right? The technology's old. There's a video on my channel showcasing all the graphics, how they all are going to look in the collection that I've taken myself, right? This is how they're going to look in the game from these old games that I have. And so you wouldn't... The problem is, though, is the trailer basically showcases 2D gameplay. There's no 3D gameplay, apart from the couple of handheld, Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance versions for Deadly Alliance, right? So you're not gonna... I don't think they're gonna put the 3D era in there because the 3D era will have eventually probably its own pack, either a separate collection, which they should do, or they make an expansion pack and add it to this collection. So that way you separate them out. I want Digital Eclipse to work on this nice tight collection. Hopefully, we're going to get announcements for MK Trilogy and MK Gold, as well as maybe a couple other things like Mythology, Sub-Zero, and Special Forces. That will round out the entire... That will be the entire 2D Legacy right there. The entire 2D Legacy. Imagine that. Imagine that greatness, right? And then, depending on what they decide to do forward, pack or separate release, the 3D collection will be an absolute banger as well, right? They could really market that, and get people really excited, showcasing all the gameplay, including throwing in Shaolin monks, and of course handheld with MK Unchained, and a couple of variations of Armageddon as well, and you'd be good to go. All online play too. Imagine that. Imagine playing Deadly Alliance. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I'd still give it a go, right?
And let's quickly talk about the 5 things that I think are very important that NRS has to address when they release this, because first impressions are crucial. When people play this Legacy Collection, they want to make sure that it's done right, so that way you keep the players in, you grow the community, and it'll have a lot of people able to try a lot of these older MK games, which are very different from the current NRS games. One charm about the older games is, yes, there are some balance issues, there are some, extremely strong characters, but one thing that sets older Mortal Kombat games apart from the newer ones is some of the older games play nothing like any other fighting game you've ever played. They're completely unique. They have these super obscure mechanics in them that, in a way, kind of innovated how Mortal Kombat played back then. And once you get into them, you find out, wow, these games, even though they're pretty old and they may not have the best balance, they're kind of fun to play. And then you get into them. So with that said, let's move on to the 5 things that I believe are very important. Number 1 is, of course, it needs to have GGPO rollback netcode. which from the looks of it, it seems like they're including that. But I would also like to have them try to include things like a ping display, Wi-Fi filter, fast, quick load times, you know, being able to transition in and out matches quickly. You don't want the system to feel clunky and like you're stuck trying to search for a match for a long time, or there's a lot of downtime between playing. You want matches to feel fluid, quick. That way people are stuck playing the game and they have that hunger to play more and practice more. It's more engaging for everybody.
Yeah, so if you're waiting for a match, also I would add, like, you know, playing the game. So you set it to you set it yourself to online, right? Like you can do with some of these other Capcom collections, and you go about your business. You go about playing other games in there, or just sitting there waiting, training, whatever you want to do. And then you get pinged for a match. You jump in, do the match, jump back out, keep playing. You know, just like how on the old days when you're playing at the arcade, somebody walks up, throws a coin in, challenges you. If you beat them, they fuck off, and you keep playing. That's how it works, right?
Number 2 is it needs to have a proper ranked system, which I would love. If all of the older MK games included in this collection can all have a separate rank, that would be great. Imagine you want to get into UMK3, you never got to play it before. Well, now you can kind of play how you would learn some of the current modern NRS games. What you would do is you would play ranked mode and you would play against people. And this is to touch on also a point is the game needs to include proper skill-based matchmaking. So you want to play against people that are closer to your skill level. That way it gives you a chance to adapt and play and learn at your pace. You don't want to play against somebody who's 20 times better than you, because then you're not going to be able to do much or learn much of anything. And at the same time, you don't want to play someone that you're going to steamroll, because then it's not going to be not only that.
I don't know if they're going to go that deep, to be perfectly honest, right? Like, I'd have to check the 30th anniversary for Street Fighter and see whether or not they offer a ranked mode, or it's simply just like quick match and like rooms, right? Because at the end of the day, like, if you can set up a room, then at the very least, right, you know, you can set up your own tournaments and stuff like that, right? That'd be kind of cool. I'm not kind of, it definitely will be cool. We'll be doing it right here on this channel. However, I don't know. I don't know if they do it. We'll see. I mean, obviously for the modern fighter they do, but we'll see.
Fun for you because you're bored beating someone so badly, but the opponent is probably going to get, you know, discouraged from wanting to play and continue the game. So a proper matchmaking system, along with a good rank system, is very important. I would love to see this done for this game, and they can include a rank system they don't have to include a rank system, I guess, for every single game, but it'd be awesome if they could. Now moving on to point.
They ain't gonna listen. They ain't gonna put a rank system for the Game Boy version. And listen, man, I will run a competition for the Game Boy version. If, like, I'm assuming every single one of these is online, right? Because it didn't discriminate. So I will absolutely run a competition for the Game Boy version. We're gonna fuck shit up. We're gonna fuck shit up in 2 colors. Actually, 2 shades. Touche. No. Anyway.
Point 3. And this one's very important. For point 3, and I can't stress this enough, they need to include crossplay. Crossplay is very important.
Definitely.
I'm going to
so, like, aside, like, because obviously REO's got a background here with competitive play, and that's fine. But these are all games, so I don't overly care. I'm just more about jumping online and having fun. But the crossplay thing is 100% on point, like 100%, right? You've got to have crossplay. You've got to have that massive pool. You're all going to be using controls or fight sticks, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you've got to have crossplay.
Buying it on Steam, and what I would love is, as a PC player, to be able to play my friends that have it on console. So that way, it doesn't matter if someone buys this game on whether it's Xbox or PC or PlayStation or whatever other platforms, having the ability to play everybody and any of your friends will make the whole experience of matchmaking and playing that much more enjoyable. Yep. So that, as 3, has to be included. Now moving on to 4. One thing that I think is also very important is to add a very robust lobby system, like add a King of the Hill, so that way it makes it easier for some people want to start hosting tournaments for these games. They can do King of the Hill. They can do spectating.
Yeah.
You guys can also make the lobby system more fancy. And remember, you got to make sure everything is fluid with transitions. You do not want to have long, laggy lobbies where it takes like minutes to transition from rooms, or you want everything to be snappy and quick, because that's what's going to keep people entertained and enjoy the game more. So 4, very important to have lobby systems, King of the Hill. I would also like to see if they can include things from MK11 that used to have. There was a lobby system called Hot Seat. It was a form of King of the Hill. You would have one person that would be kind of like the king, and they would play all the other people that would join in a row. So it was like an endurance mode of King of the Hill, and this was perfect for people that would stream and want to play against, people or viewers, or if you want to have someone do like a matchup chart where they test matchups. You have like one reptile player go up against all these different Sonya players, and that way it makes it so easy. So stuff like that is very important to keep note of for including, because things like that just makes the game better overall online. Now moving on to number 5, which I think is the 5th most important, is I would love to see a training mode included with these games. I know some of these...
I literally wrote this down on my notepad on the PC to talk about. They 100% need a training mode, 100% training mode, right? You can do it on Fightcade, right? So yes, they 100% need a training mode, right? All you need to do, all the game needs to do is essentially mirror, like mimic a 2-player match, right? Access to all your special moves, particular combos depending on the version of the game, right? Give player 2 infinite health, and off you go, right? That's all you got to do. Now, obviously, you can go deeper than that, like you'd get with modern fighters, but I don't know if they do that, right? I don't know if they do that. It might just be like a really old classic mode where it's just, hey, just stand there, beat the shit out of your opponent, learn some stuff, work some things out. Maybe you can get them to do like just normal punches or kicks or something. I don't know. I don't know how robust they'll do it if they do a training mode.
Older games, like if you had MK4 for console or the 3D MKs, there was a training mode in that. But if you guys can include training modes for as many of these older games as possible as an option to train, this will be great, because a lot of these older games, you have to kind of, in a way, learn on your own how to play them. There's not like a tutorial system, or they're not straightforward. They have a lot of hidden mechanics, a lot of interesting things that you learn through experience of playing. And the thing is, when it comes to certain players, some players don't have fun having to learn a game while playing against, in real time, other opponents. Because when you're playing against someone that's really good, and your whole focus is, okay, let me try to learn this combo, or what does this move do? You want to first go into training mode and test the waters, so that way you can practice, you can learn your combos, you can learn your offense, your defense, your anti-airs, because there's a lot of stuff to touch on. So including a training mode would be great. And one personal thing I would love to see that I think needs to happen, because now a lot of fighting games have this these days, is a way for you to search and play training mode at the same time. So for example, let's say I want to play MK Deception. While I'm selecting my games to play for ranked, I'm queuing MK Deception ranked queue while also training mode in MK Deception. That way, I'm practicing combos, I'm remembering how I used to play way back on PS2 days online while waiting for an opponent. This is better, because now you're not stuck waiting on staring at a screen that says waiting for next opponent, because that's not very fun. You do not want to have that in there. So I would recommend that, one of the 5 most important things to include. And also, I'd love to see, maybe you guys can include a tutorial system fleshed out for these games. I know that may be a little complicated, because there's a lot of stuff to go through. But really, when it comes down to this, I'm very excited, because I don't think NRS realizes how much potential something like this has. The fact that they're releasing all these older games with GGPO, that means a lot of these games that were never played very seriously in the USA, like MK4. Like, I would love to learn MK4, to play MK4 in ranked and try to get good at the game, because I never got to play that game seriously with other people at a high level. I would love to get into that game. I would also love to play other games and learn, like MK Trilogy, MKDA. I think this is amazing. And with all the GGPO now, all the people that'll come back trying to play this game, they're going to be able to find the game that fits them. Like MK2, for example, is more zoning, more chess style, completely different play style than UMK3. UMK3 is more aggressive, more about normals and footsies and jabbing. Then you have Trilogy that has different meta. And to touch on Trilogy real quick before I end the video, because I don't want this video to drag on way too long. But please, if you guys include Trilogy, because I know it's being included, I would love to see.
Well, we don't know 100% yet, but it's pretty much a guarantee. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty much a guarantee.
Mortal Kombat N64 Trilogy version included, because many people may not know this, but there's huge gameplay because many people 64. But please, if you guys include Trilogy, because I know it's being included, I would love to see the Mortal Kombat N64 Trilogy version included.
It better not. Listen, I don't mind that it's in there. Just do not make it the only version. The N64 version is the weaker version of all the versions out there. Right? They modified stages to you know, that shouldn't have been modified. They have less characters available. And while you have instant loading time, it doesn't matter anymore. Right? You've got to have two versions in there. You've got to have an N64 version, which is very unique to the CD-based ones, the PC, the PS1, and the Saturn. You can't just have it all by itself.
Many people may not know this, but there's huge gameplay differences between Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the N64 and the Mortal Kombat Trilogy for PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 trilogy plays very similar to UMK3, but it has, you know, new characters, bosses, and a little bit quicker gameplay. But the thing is, with the Mortal Kombat Trilogy N64 version, it actually changes the gameplay and meta. The frame data moves in Trilogy N64 are completely different, so the game does not play like UMK3. It's similar, but it has its own meta and everything else, and I would love to see that version of Trilogy included. I think that's very important to have Mortal Kombat N64 Trilogy, because that, in my opinion, is the best version of Trilogy, and it's my personal.
I'm gonna pretend that that didn't just get said. Right, boys and girls, let's just pretend that didn't happen. Okay.
Personal favorite 2D MK game because of how the meta plays out. But with that said,
listen. I can appreciate that, like, people that take obviously it to the next level and stuff. That's fine, but I don't give a fuck about meta. What I care about is this being a complete collection and making sure that we get, like, the two different versions of Trilogy out there into the game, so that way people who are fans like myself of the PS1 version or the CD-based version versus the N64 or cartridge-based version, but at least you get both in there, along with obviously MK Gold.
I'd like to wrap this video up. I appreciate any of you guys who end up watching this video. I know it's been a very long time since my last upload. When I do end up getting my new computer later during this year, I will get back into making more content and streaming, and it's going to be awesome to be able to play with so many of you guys. And I can't wait to see a lot of your guys' reactions and opinions and how you guys learn and go through these older games, because now that the whole community and everybody around the world can play these older games on GGPO, I think it's going to be amazing for the whole Mortal Kombat community, for grow, and for people to really try out all these games if they never had.
Yep.
That said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
So, yes. That's a really good video. I'll post a link in the description, obviously, for this video for you guys to go check out. Yeah, we're not having an N64 version only, bro. That's not happening, right? And if they do that, it'll be the stupidest thing they've ever done. Like, that will literally kill a chunk of excitement for me for it, because you are literally choosing the worst version of Trilogy out there. So I'm perfectly fine with them having both, but he just explained the reason why I don't want the one in there. I don't want to have a game that feels less like it's played closer to the arcade version of Ultimate MK3, right? I mean, that was one of the things I liked about Trilogy, was the fact that we could play it, right? And at the time, because we couldn't get Ultimate MK3 because the Sega Saturn had it, the only way we could get Ultimate on PlayStation was through Trilogy. Okay, so it played as from my memory, it played exactly like the arcade. So if I did stuff at home, I could take it to the arcade and do it. And that's what I want. I don't want to play a game, right, where it looks like it should be essentially an upgraded version of Ultimate MK3, but then they have changed gameplay mechanics or certain things so it doesn't feel like that, right? I'm fine with them both being in there, but please do not, under any circumstances, wish for just that version. It'll just be an absolute disgrace. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Catch you next time.